And we're off with the new legislative map in place and the filing deadline for candidates this past week. The stage is set for the elections here in the Garden State. First up, the primary on June 7th. One person who will be running in that primary is Hoboken City Councilman Ravi Bhalla, who is a candidate for Assembly in New Jersey's 33rd District. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you're going to be going up against the established Democratic machine in Hudson. How are you going to be doing that?
Well, that's what I did when I ran for councilman. I was successful then. And what I really want to do is give people a choice. That's what this election is about. So people have a choice in who they want to elect as their representative in Trenton in the 33rd District. So I'll be going across the 33rd District. I have a lot of experience in Union City representing tenants as a tenant advocate. I'm well known as a councilman at large in Hoboken. I have my law offices in downtown Jersey City.
Do you think people are looking for a maverick?
I think there's a strong anti-incumbent feel statewide. People have had a spike in property taxes in 2010 of 4.1%, and I think there is a feel for change. And that's
so they're going to like throw the bums out even if it's in their own party?
You know, every party should have competitive races and choices and options. And what I present is an alternative to the establishment.
Now, you're going to be going up against a pretty heavy hitter here. Assemblyman Ruben Ramos is in this primary. He says he's not exactly losing sleep over your challenge, which is a sort of a diss. What do you say to him?
Well, I'm very happy to hear that because challengers always do best when incumbents sleep well. And the fact that he is sleeping well is not of concern to me. You should be either running unopposed or running scared. And I'm not worried by that at all.
Okay, so let's look at some of the issues because there's some real crackerjack ones this time around. Education, obviously, is a huge issue. Now, essentially, we're talking about money and we're talking about reform. Where do you stand on this?
Well, education is a huge crackerjack issue, and I am a product of the public school system. I'm not happy with the way that Governor Christie has essentially disrespected teachers in this state, teacher unions. I think that education is a multifaceted problem. I'm for charter schools, but the solution has to be holistic. And I think that there has to be respect on both sides. I've not seen that from the Republican side. And I'm going to stand by core democratic values as a Democrat who is a product of the public school system and support education reform that doesn't hurt teachers.
You might find that there are going to be some voters saying, isn't there some kind of teacher reform, tenure reform, rather, that's necessary?
Sure. Yeah, Governor Christie introduced legislation which would create a four-tier system of evaluation of teacher performance and tie teacher tenure to that system. I'm open to reviewing that, and I do agree that, in principle, there should be some accountability in terms of performance of teachers.
Let's go to a really big issue here, and that's property taxes, which is really, that's the Megillah in the room. What's going to happen in terms of the governor's 2% cap? Do you think we're going to see the line held, or do you think people are going to be, going ouch in the pocketbook? The
line will not be held because of the exceptions to the cap. There are enumerated exceptions to the cap. And this is one issue, the budget, where I disagree with my opponent, Assemblyman Ruben Ramos. He actually voted for Governor Christie's budget in 2010. And the result of that has been a 4% increase in property taxes.
Well, you're going to be able to make that argument. I'm sure people will be willing to listen, and I thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
We're out of time.
Okay.
And someone else making a run in the upcoming state elections, Olympic gold medalist Carl Lewis. This past week, he threw his hat into the ring for New Jersey State Senate. The Democrat will take on Republican incumbent Don Diego in the 8th District. It's his first bid for elected office. Now, if you have ideas about topics you'd like to see discussed, please log on to my9tv.com and click on Public Affairs. We want to hear from you. That's all for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. For My9, I'm Brenda Flanagan, and we'll see you next week on New Jersey Now.